Hi, it's Lori at Positive Thanks Living. We're going to make a cascading element. It's a little trickier. It takes some measuring, but we can do this. This is okay. There are statements that you can use to glue onto your cascading element. I don't even know what to call it, but you don't have to. There's a link below to the statements. You can use your own a little later in the video. I'll show you how you can use pre-printed scrapbook paper also. So I also use die cuts and embossing with both the Big Shot and a little texture boutique thing that was our daughter's. So I'm going to show you what I do. I'm going to give you the measurements, and don't worry, it'll be easy to understand by the end of this video. So I added tags to this so that if you were putting it in a journal, you could use them to write on. If you were giving it as a gift, I sent 2 of these with my husband on his journeys to leave behind. And you can fit it into those cluster of envelopes that we made. Remember those cascading envelopes? It fits. So here we go, and I'm really happy to have you back. Thank you so much to all the new subscribers and those that are returning. Thank you for your wonderful comments, kind comments. I appreciate you very much. This is an interesting quote by Anne Frank. Yeah. Anyhow, these are available if you'd like to have them to print out for yourself. Now, I'm trying to do this quickly so we can get down to the measuring. And I'm using these die cuts, or these dies, I guess they're the dies, yes. And I won't show you putting it through, but you'll get the idea. I'm going to try that silly snap, and then everything's done. Yes. How are you doing? Are you well? I hope you are. Happy February. It is February. Where did January go, huh? Anyhow, this February, I'm going to be doing some focus on, of course, Valentine's. And just like that, with a snap, they're deep die cut, at least on a recording, on a YouTube recording. And I'll show you the things, also the tools, the basic things that you need. A scissors and a bone folder is handy, but you don't need it. You can use the handle of your scissor. A ruler, that's really important. And I'm going to give you the instructions both in inches and in centimeters. For some reason, I default to centimeters. I grew up in Canada, so I learned both centimeters and imperial. But centimeters are easy when you have to make specific cuts. Now, all of these photos are at the end of this video, so you can pause and read what I wrote. You're taking an 8.5 by 11 and you're cutting them in half. So you have 2 of them, 2 equal parts. Your next step will be cutting them into wedges. And again, at the end of the video, the exact measurements are there. And I also am linking to the video where I first saw this. I made my own template because, yeah, I couldn't do it the way she did. But this works the same way. You see how you're leaving the taller end together at the middle. So you're cutting them, and if you're doing this on paper, you have to be careful to choose paper that when you fold it, it will not crack. So I couldn't use any of my old paper, and really stiff cardstock would crack. So the paper that I do use is from Michaels. It's just their cardstock. colored cardstock, and that makes both sides have the same color. A little later, I also use cardstock that is from a paper pad from Walmart that's double-sided. Now, when I measure this out, I use an X so I'm not confused which side to cut. Yeah, and again, the measurements are in photos at the end of this video. And I use, well, you get the idea. So that's the next step. And here we go on to the third step, where we're starting to fold. You're going to fold each side into thirds. And I give you approximately what a third would be on an 8.5 by 11. You're keeping the tall ends in the middle, and you're getting a zigzag like that. But there's more folding. Hang on, we're gonna go on to the next step. And then you take what you folded and you're now folding each third in half. It's not as complicated as it sounds. Once you start doing it, it'll come together very quickly. So each side you're folding together. So there will be 6 segments. I think 6. Yeah. I number them later. Yep, there, 6. Okay, and then on to the next step. And this is marking where we're going to cut. We have them separated into their 6 segments. The right hand, you cut from the top down. The measurements are in photos at the end of this video. And the left side, you cut from the bottom up. So you can slide them together. And you can see you don't cut each segment. You're doing the first at the tallest end, and then you're missing a step, and then you're cutting, and you're missing a step, and you're cutting, and they're different lengths. So I'm going to show you in real time the measuring and the cutting. I've folded them into the 6 segments, and I'm going to cut the top on the right hand side on that very first segment. I mark it with a light pencil mark, and having a pencil that erases well is, I think, important. It makes life easier anyhow. And I have an eraser that erases well. So now I'm measuring from the bottom up on the left hand segment. Yeah. I'm doing it so that you can see it in real time. And I think with a new kind of deliberate measuring project, I shouldn't fast forward through. And then I'm going to cut once I've marked how far up to cut. It was fun. I did quite a number of these. And I have to say, when I brought it to my husband, just, because you got to show somebody when you're making something. I can't wait till now to show you all. He was impressed, and he said, "Can you make 2 more that I can take along with me to leave?" And yeah, so I was thrilled to be able to do that, and it also gave me more practice, so that it became easier and easier. Now you've got 2 segments. One is cut from the top, one is cut from the bottom, and you slide them together. See? just like that. And together. And then fold. Now, again, choosing the right paper is important. The scrapbook paper that I had was a little more delicate. And this sort of thing could fit into a journal. It could be given as a card. It could be used just to set out somewhere as something to look at. You could put gift cards in it if you were going to give it to somebody. And you don't need these dies. Use whatever you have. Make sure the bottoms are on the straight end, and it'll stand up just like that. And then I made tags, again, cascading, graduating size tags so that they'll show. The first one is attached to the front, and I'll show you how I do that too. And the other two are just standalone tags, and you can emboss it with an embossing folder. You can decorate it any way you want. You don't have to make tags. It was just something I thought was fun to add to the project. Pictures of the tags, and you'll be able to see the dimensions are at the end of the video. So there we go. I add a die cut of that window, or you could add just a plain piece of paper on the back. I'm trying to demonstrate that there. You get the idea. It'll fit on top. And what that does is it sort of creates a more sturdy spot for the whole element to stand. As I record this and do the voiceover, it's February 1st, so I'll upload it for tomorrow, February 2nd. But I am just overwhelmed, so happy. The number of people who have subscribed. I'm coming up on 1,000 subscribers, which is a pretty significant thing for me. I am so happy to have you here. And it's nice to share crafting together. I mean, ideally we'd be all in the same room and we could hold things up as we're making them, but that doesn't always work that way. So I'm using my eraser again, the little piece of pencil thing. So thank you for subscribing. And if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, I invite you to subscribe. I need to do something special for reaching 1,000 or over 1,000 subscribers, so I have to give that some thought for next week. Next week I'm going to be working on an altered book and an altered magazine, and still working in the cascading waterfall genre. Yeah, I started the book already, so that because it'll take a little longer. And now to show you how I put the thing on the front. And at the end of the video, you can see how I decorated this yellow one with some embellishments, I guess. Yeah, images. There we go. So I'm using this die. It's an embossing folder thing, and it was our daughter's, and her crafting items came to live at our house, so I'm thrilled to make use of it. It's a folder that has a raised and a lowered area on the inside, and what the paper that's inside, as it goes through a two rollers that push, that have some pressure, it creates I guess, yeah, it's an image, it's an embossing, and I thought it would look pretty. So this is how I attach the tag so that it is freeform moving, because unlike the one on the back that has to stay static, the one on the front has to be able to move as the part goes smaller and goes larger. So just two little strips, and it doesn't matter the length as long as it fits on the back. I fold them in half each length, and I glue them to the tag. Well, first I glue the sentiment on. It's time to do good. And then I attach the two strips that I've folded in half in a V shape. So 2 V's on the back. And then attach them to the front part that moves. So it becomes like a, I don't know, it works. I am stretching my abilities here doing this project with the amount of measuring and the amount of intricacy. Don't worry, next week it's a little more simple. It's still pretty and it's still a cascade or a waterfall concept, but it's more simple. And this isn't as tricky as you think it will be, really. To be candid, I was a little daunted when I first watched the video of the lady making her version. And again, I'm going to link below to that. But after a while, it came together. And then I created my own template. And as you can see, it's doable. There we go. And we have that tag that fits on the front. Again, creates a little more stability. And it moves. And we want to make sure that the bottom part of each element is equal so that it can sit open if you want it to. And the tags go in like that. And I add ribbon. I have added ribbon on the others, as you can see to the left there, that purple one. Now, this is from a scrapbook I got at Walmart. It was $6, and the paper is double-sided, but it is not as sturdy as the Recollections cardstock from Michaels. It still works though. So it might be a better choice if you're using this element in a journal, like you're tucking it in a pocket, or you need to mail it. So I'm going to show you same concept, exactly the same steps. But this time, rather than using the printed items that I use the die cut for, I just cut out the words that were on the page, and some of the words were lovely, and you're going to see how that works. I put the two cascading parts together, measured them out, and cut them, and put them together, slid them together exactly the same way. See, the paper is a little more delicate. It ripped there, so putting a second backing on would be a good idea. Yeah, this is more flimsy. I'm trying to give you a sense. And that it ripped when I was trying to put it together. But I made a tag from the image that was on the paper, just looking at what was provided. That made sense to go in there. And then this is another one. And the word captivating was, and the quote was on the scrapbook page. And you know, in scrapbooks often you can get cut aparts. Yeah, I think that's what they call it, that you could use for it. And I like the word elegant, and I thought maybe I could use beguiling, but nope, elegant. You could use any of those words if you like them better. Cut them out. Nope. Yep, you could add it to any of the tags that you create. Use your imagination. Use up the paper that you already have. And it doesn't have to be expensive paper. It can be just plain cardstock, or it could be a printed digital double-sided. I think this works out better though when the paper has color on both sides, unless you make an all white one. You could do that too. Same concept, putting it together. This time though, I'm putting the little wedges on first because I think the word will be easier to attach that way. So maybe as you're constructing this, should you choose to, it would be good to try first one side, one way or the other way. And I like rounded corners, so I round the corners on everything. I was so tempted to round the corners on the actual two parts that we put together with the cuts top and bottom, but I didn't. I resisted because I didn't know how sturdy it would be. I might make another one and just check it out, see how that goes. See? So from scrapbook paper, from plain paper, you choose your words to put on. Or don't put words. You could just put pictures. Actually, it would be interesting to put photographs. So there's another one. One side is the dots and the other is a pretty blue color. Yep, it works. Oh, I want to show you the embossing, how you emboss that longer length. So it happens to fit just the way it's cut or created, so that the length will go through twice. So you see how I've ended on that fold. I send it through, and then when it comes out, I send the shorter side through again. And I do both. And it's really pretty. So, on plain paper, it adds dimensional interest, which is fun. And then I stick it back through. And this is happenstance that the template that is that long just worked so well. And you can emboss with a big shot too, or you don't have to emboss at all. There's many videos that show how to make marks in paper without a big shot or an embossing machine. Again, this is just me using what's in my craft room. Making use of what is there is part of, I think, what I'll try and do this year. There we have our two sides. Now, are you interested, do you celebrate Valentine's Day? We don't usually make a big deal out of it, but I am thinking this year that rather than focusing on the commercialization of Valentine's, I might just, in the crafting space that I'm working, and with you here too, rather focus on what we love in life, whether it's things, or whether it's people, or whether it's experiences or places. There's enough real hardship right now in the world, things to worry about, things that are distressing, that I think spending a month focusing on the things we love will be good for our soul, good for our mind. So that's what I'll focus on in this Cascading book and magazine. we'll make the book and magazine next week, and then the next two times, and maybe once in between, maybe we'll talk about the things that we love. Do you have places that you love? Leave a comment below. Do you have, obviously, you have people that you love. I mean, I love my grandchildren so much. Yeah, so much so that I actually am enjoying pink first time in my life, because our granddaughter, she's a pink and purple gal. We are originally from Canada, and we love certain things in Canada. Our Tim Hortons coffee and our Swiss chalet poutine. And we've traveled in an RV full time around the country, around the continent of North America. So all the places and the people and the things and the hobbies and the experiences, what do you love? I think focusing on good things this month might be a little good for our soul. So in the videos to come, that's what we'll be using, what I make. And obviously you can do whatever you want. Focus on whatever. And if you're interested, I do think the book thing you'll like. Yeah. And the magazine, I haven't begun working on that yet, but it should work out no problem. And I have a few more ideas for cascading elements, and then I think I'll have, by the end of February, I'll have exhausted this topic, unless you have some ideas. So leave a comment below of the things that you love, and I'll see if I can come up with some ideas. So there is another element made with the same concept, but with scrapbook paper, lighter paper. And I'm going to pull out the one I put in an envelope very soon. The blue one there I made for a fellow. I figured, yeah, I don't have to put flowers on it, but it can be embossed. So there we go. Here we are with the actual dimensions, cut in half, both in inches and centimeters. You can take a screenshot, and then you're cutting a wedge. And I recommend marking the part that you're going to cut off, because a couple of times I didn't and ran into a problem. Then you're going to fold in thirds, like we used to fold letters that went in a business envelope. And then we fold each third into half, so you have 6 segments, and you're going to put the 2 tall ends together. The left side you're going to cut from the bottom up, and the right side you're going to cut from the right side down, and the dimensions are there. And if you want to put tags in, and if you want to make them cascading, there are the dimensions. And next, I'm just going to show you the yellow item that I made and how I decorated it. It was that clear PET tape. It's a bit shiny, and it took forever to take the little pieces apart, but it turned out really well. I gave it to our daughter-in-law because she's been having difficulty. All the children are sick. Anyhow, it's Lori at Positive Thanks Living. We're going to be making something interesting next week, and I look forward to seeing you then. Take care. Bye for now.